Simon Told Helen wins a half length. Zach Manelli second.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip.
Peaky Blinders start cheering for Tommy Shelby wins the WA Sprint Championship final.
Featuring Peter O'Neill and Leia Ernest.
Mozza moves up to Mermaid Manelli. Fab's Gem 3 deep. Here comes Fab's Gem.
Hard Style Rico by 5 lengths to Simon Told Helen. Third Tommy Shelby.
This segment is dedicated to the discussion and promotion of greyhound racing.
Cindy's Oliver, Rockstar Patriot, Paul Stewart, back-to-back with Rockstar Patriot in the Galaxy.
Handsome Prince, a Boulder Clear, the former Tasmanian. Handsome Prince has won the $1 million chase.
And they're locked and loaded, the favourites in blue. Racing. Crumble Manelli began only fairly. Firecloud flew out, but Crumble Manelli glides through, gives Firecloud windburn and dashed away. Then Naval Guard. Panama Pepper launch control. West on Cider, Gangna Manelli and Fabriola Ali. But one of the most promising sprinters around, Crumble Manelli, canters home to win the Birthday Cup by 8 in 22.26. Panama Peppers grabbed second. Third close, Firecloud or the lunging West on Cider and close up.
And that was the Group 2 Birthday Cup final at Mandurah on Friday to kick off Greyhound Gossip this morning. And I say a very good morning to you, Peter O'Neill.
And good morning to you, Leigh. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, exciting, wasn't it? The Birthday Cup, now a Group 2 final. And while he wasn't the quickest out, Crumble Manelli, he was the quickest home, 22.27. Flying Machine, who's now won 6 of 7 down at Mandurah and defeated your dog, who we saw last year dominate the Mandurah season. So he's only a young pup. He's only just recently, or he's about to turn 2 years of age. So he's yet to turn 2, Crumble Manelli, and he's now won 6 of 7. And exciting times for David Hobby. He doubled his stake money, taking his stakes now to around $80,000 there on Friday night.
Yeah, it was a huge win, and Crumble was definitely the one to beat. We were all talking about it, and I remember saying to Nick, who's of course a part owner as well, that I would be so stoked with second because Crumble is a great dog, and so to come second in a Group 2 is fantastic.
Yeah, and to win $11,000 for running seconds, good stake money as well. Leia, I'm sure you've probably spent it all already. Hopefully Nick gets a little bit of it. Just on Crumble Manelli, and I'm probably falling into the same thing, and I agree with Ryan, the fact that, this greyhound's got such a big upside. He's had 5 starts up in town at Cannington. He's won his last 3 there. He's only gone 29.88 though, so it'll be interesting how quick he can actually get. He's run some really slick times down at Mandurah, and I do think that he can improve. He's certainly a greyhound that slot holders would be taking a look at the moment, Leia, in regards to the Sandgroper, which comes up on the 14th of April. Yeah,
it's a big year for greyhound racing this year in WA, isn't it, Pete, with the first running of the slot races here. And I think Crumble will be a dog to look out for. As you mentioned, he's young, so he's got lots of potential and one to keep an eye on.
And it was also on Saturday night a really touching night. We had the valet John Carmody, one of the features on the program, a free-for-all over the 520 metres, and it was taken out by Electrified, who defeated Rumblin' Moment. And for Crystal Shinners and Steve Shinners, Steve tells the story of when Crystal first came across from America, and one gentleman, and also Diane as well, his lovely wife, was John Carmody, who looked after Crystal and gave her some advice on how to get involved in greyhound racing. Obviously, she had Steve as a partner then, and they're now married, but they were so close, and John Carmody actually called Crystal Shinners Miss America, and they ended up calling a pup Miss America, who went on to win races and then become the mother of Electrified, who returned from Queensland after running second in the Queensland Derby and taking out the valet John Carmody. So touching there on Saturday night. And John won't be having a funeral, just for all of his friends and family or members that aren't aware that John won't be having, his request wasn't to have a funeral, but our thoughts are with Diane and also the family. Let's go on to a brighter note, and that was the news that we heard last week, Leia, of the 4-year-old birthday for Vice Grip and also the retirement. And he was also one of 3 greyhounds named in the West Australian Greyhound of the Year, along with Amplified and also Mambo Manelli. That'll be decided on the 29th of January later this month. But the news that Vice Grip is being retired, and we're about to be joined by Adam SMithson. Just before we do get Adam online, let's go back and relive one of his biggest moments, if not the biggest moment for Vice Grip and also Adam and the 4 Frothy Syndicate. This was the Perth Cup of 2022.
Racing. Lala Kiwi began quickly, also showing speed was Vice Grip. Up on the inside was Speed Bandit. Coming across was Archibald, but Vice Grip finds the top. Archibald gets into second and then followed by Speed Bandit around the outside, then followed by Rostered Off, who wanted to get on the inside. Bumped heavily Lala Kiwi. Makuru well back in the field was West on Finn. Last of all, Paddy Wants Pats, but off the back and Vice Grip. All of WA cheers out by 4. In second place was Archibald and then followed by Speed Bandit. Good on you, Adam SMithson and Vice Grip. Vice Grip takes out the Perth Cup, wins by 6. Second goes to Archibald. Third.
Yes, what a remarkable year he had, Vice Grip, and we'll go through his year in just a moment. But let's welcome in Adam SMithson Leia to the program. And Adam, as we say good morning to you, great that he was able to celebrate his 4th birthday with a win at Cannington at his last start, and you made the decision last week to retire the champ. And he had, I think, over his career, 86 starts, 40 of them or thereabouts being in Western Australia. 38 wins and over $570,000, and we'll go through his career in just a moment. But a remarkable greyhound for you and the family.
Yeah, good morning, guys. It was sort of surreal to have him do what he did when he first came here. He was sort of looking like a dog that would just go through the grades, but to end up with the career that he had, it's just blown us all away.
It started off, of course, back in 2022. One of the first big feature races for him was the Group 2 All-Stars, and who would have known that he'd go on and win another All-Stars later, or 12 months later. But back in early 2022, he took you on the ride of a lifetime, didn't he? And that Perth Cup win we just heard then, it would bring back some fond memories. Oh,
yeah, it was. It's like I said at the time, the Perth Cup was always a race that you'd sort of always want to be competitive in and let alone win. And for the dog to not only win it, but do it the way he did. And, you know, there's fast dogs that can run time, but for him to run that time in a Group 1 when the field was full of class, just the way he did it, it really just stamped his mark on where he was at as a dog and what he could do.
Adam, I remember straight after the Perth Cup, I was behind the boxes with you and you were absolutely speechless. Like you didn't know what to say, and I think you were taking in all the emotions. It was a huge win for you, especially after you decided to take on greyhound racing full time, and you just had Kai as well with Shantae. So it was a huge win for you. And then to come through the year that you had 26 times Vice Grips raced, 13 wins, 10 placings. You've travelled over East as well, you know, and you've placed in the Group 1 Top Gun, made it to the Group 1 Melbourne Cup and Hobart 1000. It's been a massive year for you. So what has it meant for you and Vice Grip after the year you had in 2022?
Yeah, it was just amazing, the whole ride. And, you know, to travel with a dog, you put him on a plane and you meet him on the other side, and it's sort of, in a weird way, it's like a team exercise that, you know, we're going over there and we're taking him on. And just the way he travelled and the way he fronted up, no matter where we were, he just put his all in, and didn't really get all the luck when he headed around Australia to Sydney and in Melbourne in the Top Gun and down in Hobart. But just knowing that every time you were flying somewhere with the dog, he was going to show up on the night and give it a red hot crack. It's just amazing. I'll be lucky to have a dog like him. Really, he just took us on a crazy ride.
And isn't it remarkable, the story, Adam, you know, the 4 Frothy Syndicate and how you actually came across them with your association with Paul Stewart, and the fact that the greyhound came from Darwin after a Darwin Cup campaign and then heads down to Perth and becomes the star that he is. And I mentioned on Sky Racing and on radio last week that Greyhound Clubs Australia brought out their rankings for the end of 2022. Wow, She's Fast was number 1, Good Odds Cash 2, Jungle Juice 3, Mapunga Ruby 4, and your greyhound Vice Grip number 5 in Australia. It's a remarkable feat for a greyhound that came from that trek up in Darwin and then goes to riches here in Perth.
Yeah, it was. He had a little stint there in Hobart and then up to Darwin and then down to Perth, and just the way he took to Western Australia, he settled in straight away. And I think Cannington was just the ideal circuit for him, really. The way he raced and the way he went about his business, he just thrived over here. And when he first got here, he just got quicker and quicker and was racing better and better.
Can I go back, and I know we've discussed this before, but just for our listeners and just to bring it into context with the retirement of Vice Grip, your dad Ray and mum Belinda, who were involved and very successful in greyhound racing in their own rights, and you as a young boy travelling to Cannington and Mandurah with them and getting involved in handling, and then deciding to go out on your own as a full-time trainer with Shantae and a young family. It was a big step, that was, and then he wins the Perth Cup, and then you decide to travel with him. You must be pinching yourself to think, well, this greyhound has been able to set me up, and then I've had the experience of being able to travel around Australia with him.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. We sort of jumped into it, buying the property off my parents, and he made that possible. Without him, we'd be struggling to do it. And then to travel with him, it was just, yeah, it was a little surreal to have a dog like that, be able to travel and be competitive. It's something I'll owe him for a long time for what he's given me.
Adam, Vice Grip's now retired, but how did you and the team come to decide that it was the right time to retire Curly?
It was probably there's a couple of runs in Hobart. He was still racing okay, but he had a couple of very minor niggles. But after a run, he just pull up, probably not the same. It'd take him a bit longer to get over a hard run, and he just, I think his age was creeping into it, and I sort of mentioned to the owners in the new year he ideally won't race forever, and we sort of had the plan to try and get him out on a winning note, and for him to go out after winning a Freedom-All, it still showed he was racing as well as anything at the time, but I just think it was the right time to call it quits and get him on the couch. He owed us nothing, and he'd been going super, so we just thought we'd pull the pin before his body started to slow down a bit.
Well, he's definitely ended it on a good note, hasn't he, Adam? What have you got planned for him now?
The owners are pretty keen to put him to stud, so we'll get him registered, and we'll get some straws and see how we go there. And the conversation with the owners was, we're not expecting him to be a commercial sire by any means, but he's going to be on the couch at our place, so we'll get some straws out and see how he goes.
You should be really pleased with what you've been able to make that decision with the four frothy syndicates to look after the dog and make sure he is forefront to having a great retirement. Congratulations again to you and the four frothy syndicates. I'm sure we'll catch up with them if they come across for the Greyhound of the Year. You must be excited about that coming up in a couple of weeks as well. Enjoy the ride, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Good on you, Adam SMithson, and what a ride he and Shantae and also the four frothy syndicate have had. And it just goes to show, from winning up in Darwin to coming down to Perth and then going on the ride of a lifetime. Speaking of ride of a lifetime, a guy that's been around Australia a few times and has enjoyed at numerous decades the thrill, along with his wife Christine, in greyhound racing, and they've got another exciting greyhound at the moment called Throttle, and he's returned to Queensland, Dave, where he spent a bit of time with his wife for a number of years, and Throttle has made it through to the Golden Ticket final on Thursday night at Albion Park, and Dave Robartson I'm talking about, and he joins us right now. Dave, good morning.
Morning, Pete. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going well. Leia with us as well. What did you make of the run last week in that first series of the Golden Ticket? He didn't have a lot of luck, but he's done well to make it through to the final.
Yeah, he was a bit... what happened, we weren't initially going over for that particular race. We were going over for the race in a fortnight's time, and when I read the way the race was set up to run, it meant I didn't have to try him. I could put him into a race and give him a look at the same time. So that's what we did.
And the important thing...
Yeah, he had a look, and it was the first time there. So Twerry ended up to run second after a fair bit of interference early. I thought it was a great run.
It was outstanding, and the fact that he gets through the final, and the way it works now, we've got 4 match races with the quickest qualify, which was Respectability, coming up against the second quickest. So you go up against the slowest of those, and that is your Hero Bale. Does that help you, do you think? Because the way it works with these 4 match races, it all goes on time, so it doesn't matter who you race against. It's who's the quickest on the night that gets the Golden Ticket. Does that help you?
Yeah, it certainly does. I think we're the first seed on the night. and he's drawn. There was a draw for the box. They had a couple of envelopes there, and we were lucky enough to draw box 1, so that'll help him for sure.
And rich stake money on offer, and you mentioned I think it's the $375,000 Group 1 gold bullion, which comes up in early February. If you win this race and you're the quickest of the match races there on Thursday night, you're guaranteed to get a ticket through to that final.
Yeah, for sure. That's the prize at the end of the day. There's a bit of prize money attached as well, but the big thing is if you get through, you don't have to qualify the following week.
What are the plans with him after Queensland and the gold bullion? Are you planning on bringing him back to Perth and then concentrating on the Perth Cup and then hopefully going through to the Sandgroper in April?
Yeah, that'll be the plan. We thought just take him away and get a few runs under his belt, against top-class dogs, just to see where we are. And hopefully back in Perth for the heats and the running of the Perth Cup.
Is he totally over that slight injury that he had during the Melbourne Cup Carnival?
Yeah, so he's had a couple of trials and there's been no signs of any bleeding or any soreness at all, so that was the main worry. He's pulled up well after the other night, even though he got shuffled a bit. I was a bit concerned, but he's plugged on and he's run second and pulled up well at himself.
That's good to hear. Are you in Queensland yourself?
Yes, yeah.
Is there any rain there at the moment?
No, not where we are. I'm out at the Agatton, and we've had a few little tiny showers, that's all, but no substantial rain at all.
All right, good to hear and good to see that he's made it through, and I think you're a live chance in the golden ticket there on Thursday night. Thanks for joining us, Dave, and all of WA will be riding with you. Good luck.
Thanks very much, Pete, Leila. Talk to you soon.
Okay, Dave Robartson joining us, and we wish him all the best of luck in what is an exciting series and a different concept up there in Queensland. We'll talk more about that and also what's happening in New South Wales as well, as we're about to be joined by Jason Lincoln.
Now on Greyhound Gossip, we welcome the Greyhound guru, Jason Lincoln, from Sky Racing.
She's a pearl in full flight at the home turn. She led it by 6 on Coast Model. Richard Otter getting up on the inside. But this is greatness from a champion. She's a pearl wins the $10 million chase.
And a very good morning and great to have him back on in 2023, and a happy new year to you, Jason Lincoln. Good morning.
Morning, Pedro, Leia. Happy New Year to everyone.
How's the new year for you?
Well? Yeah, beautiful, relaxing. Still on holidays for a week. Can't believe you've wrote the news.
Have you liked the new? I don't know whether you've caught up with it. I'm sure you have, considering you watch Greyhound racing all the time. Are you happy with the new colour green on Sky Racing one?
Yeah, I saw it there on Saturday. Is what people don't like it.
No. It's just something different,
Yeah, well, it needed to be changed. I mean, we've had the same colours forever, haven't we? But, yeah, it's in keeping with the branding for TAB. So, yeah, it's inevitable, I guess, it would go green at some stage, Pete. But as long as the winners come, who cares what colours the graphics are?
Exactly. Now, we just spoke with Dave Robartson and Throttle. Made it through. Had to do it the hard way after overcoming some bumps. He was the second slowest, but that's probably going to, in my opinion, work in his favour because he comes up against the slowest in this match race series, and the quickest of those wins the golden ticket on Thursday night at Albion Park.
Yeah, that's right. I did catch the heat. Who's Throttle up again next week on Thursday?
Throttle's drawn 1 and your hero Bale's drawn 3.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, she's probably going to be in a bit of trouble against him, but it's the fastest time wins it from here. So, yeah, look, it's going to probably be pretty hard to beat the dogs in the first heat, to be fair. Respectability and Springtime Jet, they've got a bit on them time-wise, and they've got the experience at Albion Park, so they're the two dogs in the driver's seat.
Yeah, so Springtime Jet was the quickest qualifier, went 29.59. Springtime Jet 29.68. Interesting, though, that they come up against each other. And then we go to the third and fourth quickest qualifiers, and the last two are obviously Throttle and your hero Bale. And as I mentioned with Dave, it is the quickest time next Thursday, so it doesn't matter 1 versus 2. If Throttle can run quicker than any of the other other 3 match races, then they get the golden ticket, and that golden ticket will get them through to the final of the Rich Gold Bullion coming up on February 2. What about the Paws of Thunder heats, and your wonderful bitches made it through to the final, although she's drawn awkwardly. She's a Pearl. She was very, very smart, though, in winning. French Martini has come up with box number 1, and Peter Lagiani has finally been able to draw a box in a feature final.
Lagogiani?
Yeah, I get it wrong every time.
Go with that one. Yeah, it's all right. It's only been getting major winners for the last 3 or 4 years, Pete. You say awkwardly, and obviously traders see it like that too, but I don't really have any fears about the draw. Okay, you look at it and 6 and 7 have got pace and are wide runners, but if you ever look at Pearl's runs off the pink at Wenny, she absolutely roars out. She runs a really straight line. Look, she comes out, say this about any dog really in Australia, she comes out as good as she can, no one will lead her, so she just hasn't been nailing the jump for whatever reason, whether she's just, and I had a chat to Tommy Savalas sort of just, randomly yesterday, and he was saying, without the sort of repetitive racing, the constant week-to-week racing, she might just be going these a bit too fresh and over the top, and I guess Andy and his team will be working on that. Pete, she completely slipped at Gossett. There's nothing to do about that, but there again on Saturday night, she nailed the jump, but then the next stride she just went down on her nose. So she's just getting a bit excited, but yeah, I like the draw on Saturday myself.
Well, the market with Tab Touch, Jason. French Martini, who's drawn box 1, is the favourite at $3.20, and Pearls at $4. Zipping Maserati $6. Gatlin in box 3 $8. For Coco Models $17.5. Amron Boy at $4.20. 6 Reflections $15.7. Embrace at $51. What do you think of the market here?
Well, again, I don't know if I've steered you too many times in the wrong direction with this in the past, Leia, but get your money. Take the $4 because she won't start $4. Not always good at predicting the results of races, but I'm pretty good at predicting how markets will trend. I reckon she'll start $2.70, $2.80, something like that. French Martini probably $3 chance, and Amron Boy will get out drastically from his draw. But yeah, take the $4, Leia. Absolutely.
What about in the National Derby? The finals also on Saturday night. Rockstar Apollo with Tab Touch drawn in box number 3's at $2.60, and in box 5 Victor Damien at $3. Starline Express in 6 at $5. Is it between those 3, do you think?
I think probably, Pete, yeah. Starline Express holds the key in a lot of respects. He's very, very fast early, but he does want to use a bit of the track, so that's a big plus for Victor Damien, who would have, I guess a lot of people maybe wouldn't have been across him before Saturday night, Pete, unless you sort of watch Adelaide and you've seen him go around in Melbourne when he went down for the Silver Chief. He tried particularly fast privately at Wenny, I think 29.60, I was told, but he roared around there on Friday. Most impressive win. As impressive a debut win at Wentworth Park as you'll see. So he just might have too much upside. I know 5 looks ugly on paper, as I said, but the 6 will give him room. So, I'd be siding with him at the moment. I was so impressed with him Friday.
We've also got the Group 1 National Futurity final on Saturday, Jason, and the favourite also out of box 1 here, Mortified at $2.30 with Tab Touch. 2 Queen of Scotch, $26. 3 Windra All Class at $4.50 for Ava Blazer, $8. 5 Mount Goa, $81. 6 Zipping Mercedes, $21. 7 Victor Marley, $10. And out wide we've got 8 Baby JC at $3.50. Is it a 2-dog race here between the opposite side of the boxes?
I backed Baby JC in the All-In and had thought for a couple of weeks that she'd be the winner of this race. Had good bet on her on Friday as well. But again with the draw, it's almost gifted to Mortified. 2 and 3 are very quick early and very wide runners. Very wide runners. She's just going to get so much room down on the inside, Mortified. She was first up for a while the other night as well, and it's always a big advantage, Pete. You'll have known this over the years. Those dogs that have already made feature race finals against open age dogs or even won them, when they come back to their own age, and particularly here, sex, they just have so much on them. And in this case, Mortified just stands out like a sore thumb. She could start a lot shorter.
Now, I know we've discussed this, and we've discussed this for as long as I've been involved in greyhound racing, but the clashes of races and the Paws of Thunder, while it's, a very good final, it could have been so much better. And I think I would like to see it be better, where you get these raiders from Victoria come up. Queensland, you've got some really good dogs up there racing for rich prize money. And then even if you decide, Jason, that you don't want those greyhounds to come your way from Victoria, Queensland and also WA, you've then got the young greyhounds in the National Derby and the Futurity. Surely we shouldn't be clashing these races.
I've got to be honest. Well, first of all, I'll just play devil's advocate. When would you run the Paws of Thunder then if you don't want to run it now?
Well, the Derby used to be run later in the year, didn't it? And the Futurity?
Derby was a little bit later in the year, I think, but certainly for the past 3 or 4 years, in any case, it's been run on this meeting. Look, in this year, you could go through them. There's probably, I guess, the top 5 or 6 in the market for both the Derby and the Futurity probably would have went in the Paws if they had the opportunity, but a lot of the other dogs wouldn't. Look, my 2 bobs worth on this, I'd actually like to see the age limits on these Derby, Silver Chiefs, these sorts of races lowered. I'd prefer that they were more puppy classic so that they're, well, you wouldn't have that crossover anyway. You just basically think of them as like 3-year-olds in horse racing, and the other dogs as the open age horses. So they'd have their own path. Now, I'll tie what you just said into the national calendar, and this is the reason why I said to you, where else are you going to run it? They've done a good job of tying the Queensland Derby, the Silver Chief, and the National Derby together. So if you've got a dog who's underage, you can go in all 3, and they're within the space of, what are we talking, 3 months, basically. So that's a nice progression for those dogs. In terms of the Paws of Thunder, you've obviously come off Melbourne, and there's not much respite then. Now, off the back of the Paws, we've got the Gold Bullion Heat the next week, and then you've got the Temley and the Australian Cup. So again, then we roll into Perth Cups, Golden Easter eggs. So again, it's all well and good for people to stand back and go, you shouldn't have this, you shouldn't have that. But give me an answer. Where are you going to run it?
Well, the issue we're going to have here, I think, for the Sandgroper in April, now we've got our Perth Cup. It's going to clash again with the Golden Easter Egg. And I know there's so much rich stake money on offer. We have tried to put on, or we have put on a $500,000 race trying to attract, I would say, not just West Australian greyhounds, but the best greyhounds from around Australia. Now, Wow She's Fast might come across because of the fact of her association with Sportsbet, who have a slot. But which other greyhounds would and trainers would come across? Like, I'm a part owner of a Group 1 winner. I don't know whether the trainer would send Good Odds Emma across to Perth because there's that rich stake money on offer in the Golden Easter Egg. And then you've got, the cost of flying them across to Perth. We know how expensive it is to fly around Australia at the moment. I don't know what the answer is. I haven't got the answer, but I don't think it's right at the moment.
Yeah, and look, maybe there is a better balance. So, like I said, I didn't give really too much thought to what you've just brought up other than the Derby Paws of Thunder thing has come up, so had a little bit of a think about that. But in terms of the Sandgroper, I don't know what to tell you there, Pete. I mean, again, I can only pair it back to horse racing, and clashes are inevitable. Simple fact of the matter, especially if we're going to keep inventing new races, there's only so many dates that are free in the calendar. So, yeah, clashes are going to be inevitable. The guys that put together the calendar, I'm sure they're doing their absolute best. I don't know what to tell you, Pete. You'd have to. It's one of them ones where, and I'm not having a go at you. It's all well and good for people to sit back and go, this is wrong, but come up with a better solution.
Okay, well, I think there is something is wrong is in the Greyhound Clubs Australia rankings, and I think the Greyhound Clubs Australia need to be more open-minded in regards to how we come up with the rankings. Vice Group's come up at number 5, which I think is a great credit to the connections, and he had a remarkable year, and Wow She's Fast is number 1. And I know that you're involved with She's a Pearl, but no one within Australia wouldn't think that She's a Pearl and Wow She's Fast, after the years that they had in 2022, wouldn't be 1-2. And she's ranked number 25 because of the fact that Greyhound Clubs Australia don't take into account the $1 Million Chase.
Yeah, look, that is the case. Again, with these rankings, I mean, I don't know how much, what's their worth. I don't really get it. I mean, it's sort of like having the best racehorse in the world rankings and this, that and the other. I don't think they really mean anything at the end of the day.
I think they do. I think they do, and I think I think we need to take more credit with them and, make them important and say, OK, at the end of 2022, Wow She's Fast was the #1 greyhound in Australia, and you can live with that for the rest of your life. But if we're having it like it is at the moment, where she's at Pearls number 25, which is just ridiculous, then I agree with you. There's no point in having them.
No. I think the pertinent point, or the pertinent part of it is, I don't care so much about the rankings, but it's the, that age prize money stuff that I guess does count for qualification, some of the big races. The fact that, I guess that's the issue that the guys with GA need to sort of reconcile. I know under Dave Simonetti rule, he was sort of adamant that those pop-up races wouldn't ever get group status. I don't know what the state of play at the moment within the horse racing game with the Everest and where they're tracking where that is, but yeah, it's a funny one how to classify those races. They are one-off and they are invitation races, but so are the Top Gun, Sam Lee, Rookie, Rebel, Zoom Top. There's plenty of races throughout the year, Pete, where dogs are hand-selected for races. So, yeah, I don't know with that one. But again, like I said, I don't know how much weight those rankings carry. I think it's just, something nice for us fans to look at, isn't it?
All right, well, on a different note, Jason, and I know you're on holiday, so we'll let you go soon. But before we do, can you let us know about all your other greyhounds? I've been keeping an eye on Just Like Mick and Rich Lincoln. They're not doing too badly at the moment.
Oh, those two boys lobbed the Quinella at Albion Park on Thursday, which was a real thrill. Got to say, when the fields came out, it was inevitable that they'd end up in the same race soon. They sort of both ended up, in 600-metre races. And, Just Like Mick, I own with Mick Harders and Steve Withers, and he'd been a source of frustration for us. The dog could run like the wind, trials you anything you like, but it just hasn't been put together in races. So, something to run the Quinella the other day was pretty exciting. I had a dog that I have with HQ called Cartel Model that went around in the heats of the Derby. He was only having his second start. He was as green as Kermit the Frog and didn't really know what he was doing out there. So he'll pay to follow. Got another couple of dogs in Queensland, one called Here's Wolf with Tommy Savalas, who's going really well. He's going to win a novice soon. And I've got a dog in Tassie. He's worth following, a dog called Minstrel Adios. I think he's had 8 or 9 starts. He's won probably 4 or 5 of them and been placed the other time. So he hasn't missed a check yet. He's just had a little virus, but he'll be back in a few weeks. You can keep following him. He goes pretty good. And then I've just got a lot of pups that are probably coming through this year. Leia, hopefully having my first starter in the Vince Curry in a couple of weeks. Got a pup that's trialling pretty well there. So, pocket full of hope at the moment.
Very exciting.
How rude. Didn't even mention Good Odds Emma.
Good Odds Emma, of course, but I thought you would have already covered her off, Pete. I haven't spoken to Andy. I'd say she probably just maybe poke around in a couple of free-for-alls, and then I reckon she'll get ready for that $125,000 race in Dubbo. Pete, would you make the trip up to Dub Vegas for that? Well, possibly. I don't know. Yeah. Well, it was a huge night for first running with it this year.
Yeah, I was talking to Shane Williams and a few on Saturday night at Cannington, and they said to me, whatever you do next year, well, it's this year now, but you have to get across to the Phoenix. They said it's the way that the Meadows and the Melbourne Greyhound clubs put on the Phoenix. They said it's the best experience of all time, so I'll try and get to that, but that's at the end of the year. Lots to get through prior to that, though, Jason. We appreciate your time and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good on you. Jason Lincoln joining us and covering New South Wales, Queensland, Victorian and greyhound racing certainly on the up at the moment. Leia, there's great prize money on offer, and we're not too far away now from the Perth Cup and also the Sandgroper. And as we mentioned earlier on, the 3 greyhounds named in Mambo Manelli, Amplified and also Vice Grip, who are vying for the rights of the WA Greyhound of the Year, which will be announced in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that, Pete. It's a big year of racing, and this time of the year as well. All the group events are happening, so very much looking forward to the calendar year here for greyhound racing as well as over east. And we're racing today at Cannington as well. Pete, you're calling all the action there, is that correct?
I am. So the first race this afternoon getting underway, or this evening getting underway at 7 minutes past 6. So we'll have a preview just after 5:30. We'll get to that later on this afternoon, and we're about to take a break, and we'll get you through race day. Enjoy your day.